Hi, it's Russell Cummings from Shift, and welcome to this short video on building an annual operating plan for your business. Now, I guess an annual operating plan is something that I've helped clients develop over a number of years, and this is the template that we'll be using for that. And what it's built on is a couple of assumptions. The first assumption is that you have a strategic plan that goes for 3 to 5 years, so you know where you're heading, you know what your goals are, you know what you're looking for. And then we need to be just thinking about what are the big rocks? What are the 1 to 3 things that you really need to focus on that are large in scope that you need to get done in the next year. Okay, and we'll talk a bit about what they are in a minute. Now, the big rocks concept comes out of Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he talks about if you want to put, it uses an example of saying, well, if you want to put some big rocks, some gravel, some sand, and some water into a container, a fixed container like a jug, you need to put the big rocks in first, otherwise everything else won't fit. So this is about defining on what those big rocks are and how we're going to do it. So we use that as a basis for planning. Now, just to quickly take you through the structure of the template. Up in the top left-hand corner here is where you put a couple of dot points around what are the current key issues in your business and where do you want to be at the end of 12 months. So you might set some goals there, just some short-term goals, often an income goal or like a revenue goal, that sort of stuff is where we might put, and a couple of key points, maybe some qualitative things around number of clients or customers or new products or something, whatever it happens to be, market share, could be a whole range of things, but just set some targets for the where. The next part here is then where we flesh out the big rocks. So we have our 3 or 4 big rocks. For each big rock, we have a description. And then for each big rock, we also set some key measures that we want that will tell us whether we're achieving that big rock. We then simply cascade the big rocks down to the next section. And the next section is all about the action. So the top section is about defining where we are and what the how is going to be, which is the big rock. So that's that now, where, how process. But the bottom one is about really getting into the detail of the how. And so for each big rock, we'll have a number of strategies. For each strategy, we'll have a number of actions. And for each action, we'll have who's responsible for the execution of that, when are they going to have it done by, and then what resources might we need to make it happen. All right, so the process then for building our annual operating plan, step 1 is do your now and your where summary. 2 or 3 key points, possibly include some future revenue, be aspirational but not irrational. All right, so this is a 12-month thing, and the experience will show that generally you will overestimate what you can do in 12 months and underestimate what you can do in 5 years. All right, so just be aspirational but not irrational. Once you've done that, I want you to think about the big rocks. And a big rock is a short-term strategic imperative. So it's a higher order imperative that is large in scope. And for me, an example of that is upgrade my website is not a big rock. But grow my client base is a big rock, and upgrade my website is a subset of that big rock, all right? And then under each big rock will sit some strategies, and under each strategy sit some actions. So make sure you stay big picture and don't get lost in the detail. The mistake that most people make with planning is they drive towards the detail. So they get lost in the detail well before they've got the big picture right. So this is about getting the big picture right, okay? If you want some categories to think about as a guide for building your big rocks, I often think about marketing and sales, about processes, about people, about technology and finance. And you just want a short statement for your big rock, okay? And so once we've got that short statement, and it might be, as I said here, it could be grow my client base. So you go your client base. So grow my client base is the big rock. The description is then, what do you mean by grow my client base? And it could be, you might say, expand my client base within a certain geographic area or a certain sandpit or with a certain industry group, and driving that forward. And then your key measures for that could be number of new clients, work from existing clients, some of that sort of stuff, right? Market share, some other stuff could be your key measure, all right? And then you just repeat that. Now, if you've only got 2 big rocks, that's fine, okay? But you don't want any more than 4 because it starts to get too complex. That probably tells me you're getting a little bit lost in the detail. So, 3 or 4 is a really good number. All right, so once you've got your big rocks done, you just then copy the name of the big rocks down into the far left-hand column down the bottom, and then you develop 2 to 4 strategies, maybe even 1 could be, just to deliver that big rock. All right, and the question you're asking yourself is here, what must I do to deliver on this big rock? And so if it's grow our client base or grow the number of clients, some of your strategies there could be, improve our marketing, improve our referral processes, and improve our sales conversion. Could be the 3 strategies that you have under that space. So that gives you that example. Then under that, you would build then some action plans. So under each strategy, you want 2 or 3 things that you must do to deliver that. And what I get people to do is just put the first 2 or 3 things that they need to do to get started on it, because you can put some more detail in it later. So you don't want to have 10 action points here. That's having the action at the wrong point. This is a larger strategic plan, but we can break this down to 90-day plan and other plans where you can put a lot more of that detail in. But if you just pick the first 2 or 3 things you need to do, you get the detail at the right level, and there'll be plenty of things you've left out and haven't forgot about. Now, it's really important that you define who is responsible, all right? That doesn't mean that person has to do all that task. It just means they're responsible for making sure it happens, okay? And then the when is when does it need to be completed, all right? Now, the big mistake people make here, this is an annual plan, so some of the stuff you're going to do in November or December in 2023 or whatever the next year happens to be. Okay, so you don't have to do it all in the first quarter. So think carefully about when some of this stuff needs to be done. Think about the resources you're going to need, and with that resourcing piece, it's just so you've thought through what happens. Because often I find people come up with great strategies and great plans and don't think about the resources required. That could be people, it could be equipment, it could be capital, it could be a whole range of different things that you need, additional to what you currently have, that you need to deploy in order to execute the strategies and actions. Okay, just think all that through. So once we've got that done, then your next steps for your annual operating plan are to either look at a 90-day plan and cascade it down to 90 days, or just start to break it out into smaller sections and start working on it. All right, so pick the things that you need to work on straight away and start moving and getting on those. The annual operating plan, I guess I look at it as a great opportunity to put your ideas and your thoughts down on paper for the next year, to get some clarity around this. It's the sort of thing you should be reviewing every month, to just see where you're up to, see where it's changed, see where the environment's changed, and keep focusing on the things that you need to execute in order to achieve your goals for the following year. If I can be of any help, please let me know. There are a heap of resources at shift.com.au, and I look forward to seeing the amazing things that you do in your business in the future. Cheers.